start with a prayer by Commissioner Wandell and a pledge by Commissioner Meade.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we once again come to you and thank you for this opportunity to meet, discuss the county's business. We ask for your grace and guidance as we endeavor to work through the issues before us. We pray for those who are at home sick. Special prayer for our fellow Commissioner McCamey. We just ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to our flag. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is the approval of agenda.
Motion approved.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I would like to add, under the mayor's report, the resolution authorizing Anderson County to join Tennessee in the opioid abatement settlement.
I don't know if that takes a second, but.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to add. Next is appearance of citizens. Do we have any citizens here that would like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to rescue squad funding process. Have anybody here for that?
Jessica Reidner contacted me, and she had a family emergency come up, but she gave me, I've got Terry Allen, who's the chief of the rescue squad, his phone number. And basically, they just wanted to let everyone know that they, as of November 1st, they began their door-to-door fundraising drive. So if anybody had any questions or maybe was suspicious of, somebody just knocking on their door, he just wanted to provide a little information about that. Mr. Allen's phone number is 865-315-5267, but the rescue squad will be out doing door-to-door fundraising.
Thank you. Mayor, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have on the agenda a request to extend emergency sick leave for Anderson County employees with an effective date of October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. The COVID-19 sick time shall be used for and only used for COVID-19 related leave where an employee is unable to work due to receiving a positive COVID-19 test from a qualified health provider. And Kim did properly format that in terms of style for our policy, and you have that in front of you, and I emailed that as well.
Okay.
So moved through resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, second by Commissioner Meade.
Sure.
Discussion.
Yeah,
Commissioner Meade.
is there anything in this that, or we have somebody that we're taking care of people that are quarantined because they live with people that are positive or something?
Not in this particular extension. We have done that while it matched up with the federal guidance, but this particular time, it's only an additional 80 hours if you are actually positive.
Actually positive, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wonder if we were gonna try to cover that again.
Okay.
Because
Any
one way or
others?
the other, you're required to not come to work.
Well, I think and Kim is here, she can speak to it, but it also has to do with being outside of the exemption process. So before we did allow all of that as it lined up with that federal guidance. Now we're outside of the federal guidance. So we're still going above and beyond and offering that additional 80 hours in addition to your regular sick leave.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other discussion? Have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
And the next item, Jay is going to properly format the resolution. This is something, last month Jay typed up a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute documents related to the opioid settlement, the bankruptcies, and the settlement. While we awaited an official draft resolution from the state AG and then also the county services, that draft is in front of you. Jay will properly format it for the header and the resolution number, but that is before you tonight for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the resolution in draft form to obtain law director's final approval and formatting, and then proceed on to full commission.
Second.
Have motion seconded by Commissioner Mead. Discussion?
I'll just say, and I know Commissioner Mead was at the meeting, Tennessee County Commissioners Association. They talked about this and the need to get this done and get it turned in.
Yeah.
The quicker the better, so appreciate it, Mayor.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
And real quickly, Mr. Chairman, just to give you an update, I did, this committee had talked about me getting with planning, law director, and the sheriff on the fireworks. I know we've got to get that back to the state of Tennessee. We are fine with the draft that Jay put together. I communicated that with Jay. I'm sure he'll report that back to you at full commission so that you can vote on it. The only change that we requested, it has a local permit fee, and then basically we have to ensure that anyone who is applying for a permit has that state permit. That's a state requirement. There was some draft language in there about $250. Since we're really just verifying the state, and the state's fee is $100, the only change we've requested is that we drop that to $25 in keeping with some of the other permit fees. And that's really the only change. But he'll be bringing that to you all, and we're good to go and get that approved and sent back into the state.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long he's gonna be in his status because of family members with COVID. The law director I'm talking about.
Just quick question, and I might not understand the fireworks resolution, to be honest with you, but I guess one of my concerns has been the ability to shoot fireworks off on Christmas Eve and stuff like that. Because my interpretation of the resolution was you shoot them off during that time, and I just, I mean, is it spelled out in there? Do we know?
Oh, no, the timeframes that are really important to know to understand that this legislation is that there's a 10-day period in the winter holidays, and there's a 10-day period before the 4th of July, basically, where fireworks can be sold by people that go through the licensing and approval process and meet all the requirements of the state and the county, okay? And then it allows the use of normal fireworks, and you still have to not be, and we're not talking about big fireworks displays. We're talking about the little commercial ones like you can buy along interstate highways all over the country. Sparklers and little firecrackers and these little bottle rockets and this little stuff. That's stuff we're talking about. We're not talking about skyrockets like you see at the 4th of July in a city or a Disney World or something. But right now, the way the law is written, in Anderson County, you can go to jail for a day short of a year for possession of firecrackers that people use in this county all the time. Okay, and there are some bigger fireworks and bigger stuff that has been used around here. I know, not far from my house, this would not make legal. This is not bigger stuff. This is just common, what's called commercial fireworks. And in 1947, there was things going on in Anderson County, like what has now become the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Y12, that they were kind of concerned about having explosives anywhere in the county, and that private act got passed. It's never been enforced.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that concerns me about having a private act enforced enforced that is never enforced is that it leads it's just a really poor standard of having laws that are never obeyed.
I'm not debating
Yeah.
the current law versus this proposed. I guess my thing is, 10 days before the holiday, you know, if you go off January 1st, that puts it on, I think, December 22nd, 23rd. All I'm asking respectfully is, let that be after Christmas, you know, no matter what size the fireworks, firecrackers, because, you know, I don't know who's gonna police the fireworks once they go off. You know, I understand you're saying it's just gonna be sparklers and things, but when they shoot off the mortars, I don't know what kind of Pandora's box.
That's not the kind of fireworks we're authorizing.
Okay, well,
It's not mortars, that's not
I
commercial.
don't know, and I'm not an attorney, I haven't looked at it,
Yeah.
I know you've studied it, and I
Yeah.
trust your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it would be good, I will not support it if people can shoot any type of firework off on Christmas. That's where I'm at with it. I don't care what the governor says
It does not
or
allow
anybody
people
else.
to
It's
set
a-
off any, you mean if there's any fireworks, in other words, a sparkler
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
cap guns?
Yep, yep. Cap guns.
Yeah.
Yep. I just, the 26th of December, I'm good.
I know that's Boxing Day, I'm kinda,
Canada.
It's also Kwanzaa,
yeah.
so maybe I should move it to 27.
Chairman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think what I need to pull it up, but what I understood that you could only shoot like maybe the day before New Year's Day and the day after, like the window to buy the fireworks is bigger than the window to shoot. So like the 4th of July is maybe the day or two preceding. So I don't, but to your point, if somebody's able to buy it on Christmas, they might be more encouraged to shoot it on Christmas. So if we bumped the date to even sell it till after Christmas, that might cut down on some of the illegal shooting, but.
Thank you.
And it's looking way down the road at possibilities, okay? But the charter that's being worked on by the Charter Commission right now, if the charter that's being drafted ends up being adopted, the county would be able to write ordinances on all kinds of things, including when fireworks can and cannot be adopted. Additionally, in the city of Oak Ridge, they can have rules that are more stringent than ours. So the city of Oak Ridge can continue to not allow fireworks anywhere except for licensed displays that are approved by the city. But I know that has not been enforced very well in the past either. 'Cause, right below me where it's Anderson County, I live in the city and my lot line goes to the county. I have fireworks going down there, like at the 4th of July, this last 4th of July, and they started on the 3rd, and they went almost round the clock for 3 days. And some of that stuff was not the stuff we're talking about even making legal. I'm talking about stuff that I could feel my foundation move when the stuff went off. You didn't have to hear it. You could feel the shock wave pass through the building. And that kind of stuff, I think we need to have ordinances that control it quite a bit. But anyhow, that's something that's coming down the road. Right now, unfortunately, the counties are not allowed, except for the few that are metropolitan governments, are not allowed to regulate. The regular constitutional county governments are not allowed to regulate anything in that realm at all. And we could also do things having to do with nuisance properties and stuff. We'll be able to actually go in and find the daylights on them instead of having to go to court and spend a year in court with them. Anyhow, that's just a little advertisement for down the pike. But we've got it, I believe that this next meeting is the deadline. If we don't pass it, then it just dies. And so we continue with people can go to jail for a year for possession of fireworks in Anderson County if anybody decided to enforce it. And there's minimum fines and minimum jail terms. I think the minimum jail term is 30 days. I think of that as being a fairly strict penalty for sparklers.
That is still in there, and it does say that, it doesn't specify, but it says use and display also must be in accordance with our noise resolution. So it doesn't specify what's in our noise resolution, but it does give us the ability to change that or adjust that or amend that as we desire. That was part of the private act.
Anything else for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 7, which was Law Director, Hidden Hills Property Foreclosure, but I think Chairman Anderson has got something there in the absence of the Law Director.
Yes, he had said Chancery Court had requested that item be pulled. And then I guess, do you want me to bring up the fire truck information under this? He had been working on a draft resolution for a new fire truck resolution. There had been fire commission had passed sometime, maybe if you want to come up and talk at some point to kind of clarify, they passed a resolution kind of supporting a bulk purchase. Budget committee was very supportive of it, but they said they kind of needed, they really need a new fire truck resolution to have something to go off of. So, and I know Robbie had emailed us earlier and provided some more financial clarification. So I'll kind of defer back to Finance Committee and Budget Committee on how to pay for it or how to fund it. But what you've got in front of you is just what Jay's worked on of kind of a draft of an updated fire truck resolution that instead of the annual purchase of one truck a year, we'll try to do a bulk purchase for all of the fire departments we served under the previous resolution. But that's kind of what I've got in front of me, but looks like Chief Andrea would like, if you'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been discussions for a little while, in regards to how to move forward as the current resolution is expiring. And it is the recommendation of the Fire Commission that we move forward with a bulk purchase for the next 11-year truck cycle. We discussed in Fire Commission this past Tuesday, we had a representative from Pierce, Mr. Jim Bell, who's here and can answer some questions if anybody has any. He was clearing up any misinformation that we had regarding a bulk purchase and, which departments would they all have to buy the same truck, or could, we have a pumper and this department have a pumper tanker, et cetera. And so we found out, so there was a bulk purchase proposal, I think it was more of a funding proposal that the mayor had made back in September to the Budget Committee. And the numbers that were given, so there's a bulk purchase discount in purchasing, I believe it's 9 or more trucks. And it's pretty substantial. I've got some figures in front of me that I can pass out to you guys, but a new truck price without a discount is $359,616.23 currently. The bulk purchase price gives you a pretty substantial savings, and that's in the tune of about 11%. Comes out to a little over $40,000 per truck. So in the when you're purchasing, say, 11 fire trucks, which would be the Fire Commission's recommendation, just from the bulk purchase discount, you're saving $444,259. That's more than equivalent to the price of one truck. So you're essentially getting one truck free with that, plus some savings with that. The single price of a truck in that bulk purchase is $319,229. Here, I'll pass this out to you guys. If you want to take one and pass it around, I'll take the extras, just that way you guys can see it. I've got all these numbers written down for you. So one thing that we found out was that purchase price of $319,229 is only good through the end of December, and there's a price lock on that. I believe Mr. Bell has requested a 30-day extension. I'm unsure at this time if it's been approved yet. If it is approved, it would take us through the end of January. So we're in a little bit of a time crunch as far as these numbers and these savings go. And the standard rate of inflation industry-wide for a fire truck annually is about 3 to 3.5%. I'm sure everyone is aware that there is substantial inflation due to COVID coming about. For example, just since September, there's been a 277% increase in the price of steel, 188% in plate steel, a 91% increase in aluminum. Pierce, I believe, has already experienced a 6% increase this year, and I'm speaking Pierce because these are some of the numbers I've got from him, that as we are currently trying to purchase a truck and have been in touch with many different vendors, this is an industry-wide, inflation. After December, that price that we have will experience a 10% increase. So that would take your total, that would increase to $351,000 more on that total purchase price, which again is the price of a truck. You just don't get that truck. So that's where the time crunch comes in and trying to get something done before the end of December, or if we can get that 30-day extension, the end of January. So with the paper that I had passed out to you all, the top section you'll see what I did for an annual truck purchasing if we were to continue with like how the current resolution is. So currently, this budget year, Andersonville is receiving the first half of their money for the current truck resolution. We were at the end of the line. So the 22-23 budget year is when we'll receive the second half of our funding for the truck we're already currently in the process of purchasing. So a new resolution done annually wouldn't take place until the 2023-2024 budget year, and it would start with Briceville because that's what the original, the current resolution started with. And that is the price, so 10% increase, and then I've put the standard. I'm being very conservative with that 3.5% annual increase because the market volatility right now, so I'm just being conservative and going with the standard. So I've added that 10% increase that we know is coming in December, and then I've been conservative with a 3.5% increase annually from there. So you can see when we purchase a truck in 2023, 2024 for Briceville, that price is going to be $409,423.08. And then it increases from there. So the total purchase price, by continuing another 11-year cycle, the way we've done this past resolution, is $5.3 million. Whereas if we move forward now with a bulk purchase, we are looking at a total of $3.5 million. The exact numbers and changes there on your paper. So total savings to go with a bulk purchase versus that annual purchase, you're looking at almost 1.9, but $1.8 million in savings. And that's a very conservative number. We know, given the market volatility and stuff, odds are you're going to be well over $2 million in savings by moving forward with a bulk purchase. Presented with this information to budget last Thursday, and of course, the recommendation is that it's kind of hard to move forward if we don't have a truck resolution in place. So that's kind of what the law director has drafted up. I'm sure it needs a few changes and tweaking. However, that's the first step in being able to move forward with this bulk purchase. And unfortunately, we're looking at quite the time crunch trying to get anything done before the end of December, or hopefully with that extension, the end of January. Or you will be, like I said, seeing even more, increases than what we are already currently at. And if there's any questions, I don't mind to answer any, or if anybody has any questions for the Pierce representative, he can answer questions also.
Commissioner Meade?
Yeah, I appreciate your presentation, and I think you're being particularly conservative on inflation. The 10% we've had recently, I don't think is over. Money's being printed like it was just paper, and as a result, the value of the money is going down is really what's happening. I think going ahead and making this bulk purchase is the way we need to go if we want to be smart economically. But the savings is going to be much more than what this shows. Now, with inflation, other things happen. Our sales tax revenues will increase a little bit. Our property tax revenues will, because things go up in value. But if we can lock in prices more on a bulk process, and you kind of discussed it a little bit, is it also true that we can have deviations in the way the trucks are made? They don't have to be identical.
Yes, absolutely. So
because
on
that's important to going ahead with this.
It is, for instance, a truck that Andersonville is going to purchase versus a truck that the city of Oak Ridge or the city of Clint is going to purchase are drastically different. We're probably going to go with more of a commercial cab, whereas they're going to go with a four-door custom cab or maybe even an aerial. But what that is, it's the same thing as with the current resolution, where the truck we purchase, we can pay the difference if we want to go above and beyond what the county is paying in that amount. So if Oak Ridge wanted to buy a $750,000 truck, they would pay the difference between that and the $319,000, 229 cents. If Andersonville wants to buy a pumper and Claxton a pumper tanker, and then, like I said, a more custom cab for one of the city departments, or for the rescue squad, for instance, who won't be buying a fire apparatus at all, they would need more of a rescue vehicle. All of that can be supported under this bulk purchase. So all 10 fire departments, and then the 11th being the rescue squad, all can be taken care of with this.
Does this end up going through one supplier when you do this?
It does,
Okay. I thought it would be a thing that makes sense.
yes.
I wanted to ask.
Commissioner Yeager.
I just have a general question, I don't know, what does the rescue squad do with $300-some thousand? This is just a general question, I don't know the answer to. So what would they buy for $300-some thousand?
They would have a rescue fitted vehicle, and a rescue vehicle, and the difference between, you know, a pumper tanker for the fire department, they're going to be outfitted in order to provide extrication services, or, you know, they're at Windrock a lot, the high and low angle rescues, the mountain rescues, they do water rescue. They pretty much encompass all services that a rescue provider would have. And then also, of course, I think some of their apparatus have water capabilities, not as much as like a fire truck, but that's because NFPA, when you're extricating on a vehicle, you're cutting metal, there's sparks, you have to have a line pulled with water, you know, that line charged and ready in case a fire takes place. Now, most of the time, fire department is working hand in hand with rescue for that, but in the event that, you know, it's rescue by themselves for some reason, they do have some apparatus that have smaller versions of water capability in order to keep up with NFPA while they're extricating.
Would this type of equipment cost this $300,000?
Absolutely, and
Is that
then
right?
some, yes.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
thanks.
Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, so with what you have laid out here, I guess you're getting the truck the way you wanted it, and you're not getting short of the truck or anything, is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So what that would allow us to do is Andersonville will still move forward being end of the line on this current resolution and continue the purchasing of our truck now. Moving forward with this new resolution of a bulk purchase, if you'll notice, I've actually, the order of the departments in that top spread is actually the order of the original, the current truck resolution. So say that for funding purposes, they split this cost into 2 budget years, and, you know, 5 or 6 trucks were purchased the first year, 5 or 6 the second year. It would be our recommendation from the Fire Commission to go with this order here. That way, you know, someone like Briceville and Oliver Springs, who were at the, you know, 06, 07, somewhere in that range when the current resolution started, you know, they're first in line to get this, to get an apparatus.
So, Mr. Chairman, I guess one of my questions, when we talked about this before, and maybe Chief can answer this, but do we have facilities to store all of these new trucks when we buy them? Like Briceville, if we're gonna buy one, will Briceville have their building in time to put the unit in?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So say I can't answer for Briceville, but I know, like for us, for instance, we have 2 trucks that are not currently in service that will be in the process of selling. Of course, those are not county trucks; those are, you know, our department-owned trucks. But generally, when you're moving up like that, I mean, some departments may not be getting rid of any trucks at all, but you also may have an older fleet, trucks that you can't put money into anymore. You're just, you know, wasting that. Those are going to go away and make room for the new ones.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I talked to some fellow commissioners, again, last week at the Tennessee County Commissioners Association. They just bought 10 trucks from Pierce, I believe it was. They got a $150,000 USDA grant. $100,000 came up front, $50,000 came on the first delivery of the truck, I think it was. So there's $150,000. They borrowed from USDA. It was at 4%. I recognize that's higher than what's being presented in some of the numbers I saw from Robbie, but obviously they went and refinanced that number after they got the $150,000. So it's something I'd like for us to look at. I mean, if there's $150,000 on the table at USDA, I'd like to see if we could capture that somehow, and then maybe go through the same process they went through. and see about that.
Good point.
Do you know about this USDA grant that Commissioner just mentioned?
I am not familiar with that. I do know that USDA is out there with grants and financing options.
You did? Okay.
So, Clinton and Oak Ridge would not be eligible, it would be more the rule. It would be based on the department, so it could be Andersonville, Briceville, Medford, they would all be eligible for that, but to Commissioner Wendell's thing, it's just based on where it's at.
I see, thanks.
But it's worth applying for.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just to Commissioner Meredith, would we be able to just go after the rural entities in this process?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be in a combination of the county and say Andersonville applying.
Okay, all right. What, do we need a motion on that to get it rolling?
I mean, I wouldn't think so. That's just something we can do as a government as a whole. I don't think it needs to be a part of this resolution unless finance or budget wants to. Because that cycle's probably already started. Just started. But our rural fire departments would be eligible for that as if I'm not mistaken, they also be eligible for equipment, the apparatus, the things that you use. There's also grants for that. But it is very, competitive, and there's a loan to grant program as well.
So who would go chase that rabbit, I guess?
I'm not gonna speak for the mayor, but it would be the county as well. It would be the county as well as the actual department itself.
Okay.
But it's an application that's gonna require both sides.
Same as what we've done before for USDA.
That's correct. It's the same concept for the fire department up in Boston.
I'm in favor of this. Obviously, seems like it makes financial sense. It certainly made financial sense to the guys out West Tennessee. The only thing I want to get cleared up as we move in this process, I mean, I know we include the cities and happy to do that, but, I want to learn more about the mutual aid, because there are a lot of times we're not having coverage, and I wonder sometimes why the cities don't step in. And I heard the Norris chief today mention he's been on a lot of calls and does a lot of mutual aid, and he wants to do more. But I'm not criticizing any of them because I really don't know. But I do know there's a lot of times we don't have coverage with the volunteer fire departments, and I'd like to see that we have more effort put into the municipalities to have more of a mutual aid reaction when we don't have our people on staff.
I can speak a little bit to it. I know that, for instance, Clinton, if they were requested for mutual aid, majority of the time we're wanting a tanker from them. Manpower is going to be limited. They're not going to send more than a couple guys. But generally, they don't send anyone, and they have to keep their shift full according to their policies or whatnot. And so if we request that mutual aid until the two other people, they send out an on-call page or whatever you want to call it, and they've got people that come in, and either those people that drive into the station, either they respond, or once they get there, then the guys who are already on shift respond. But either way, that's why there's a delay sometimes in the city responding if they're not already tied up on a call. They do have a 3,000-gallon tanker, I believe, that we've requested a few times in the past 5 or 6 years that I've been with Andersonville. It's not always. I mean, there's times that they haven't been able to respond, but generally they do. And I can, Norris, I know they're volunteer, but they're also a city, and our coverage area pretty much surrounds them. So we work a lot with Norris, and they usually call for us. We call from them. We almost always have a response out of them. It's very seldom that we don't.
Can we have the gentleman from the manufacturer come up, please?
And one other thing I want to point out really quick, just because I had read the email from Jay that he sent over with this, and he had noted that one of the major decisions, issues that needs to be determined is if the county will own the fire trucks or the individual fire department. And the way we've done it currently with the current resolution is the fire department actually owns the vehicle, and I'll explain why here in a minute and what you can do to counteract that. Marlowe's fire chief spoke with Mark Bowery of VFIS, who most of the county fire departments use for insurance, and he spoke to how you can arrange that. So if the vehicle is in the county's name and say there is an insurance claim, you'll face the same situation that Marlowe had experienced here recently with buildings that are technically in the county's name but insured by the fire department, and where the claims checks go and so on and so forth. So how you fix that is you would list the county as a lien holder on that vehicle. So just like, all the resolutions state the county can repossess said fire truck at any time, so on and so forth, you would be a lien holder on that truck. It would still be listed in the department's name, but you would be a lien holder. And let's say Oak Ridge wanted to go above and beyond and purchase that $750,000 truck, and they finance that. So that the truck would be in Oak Ridge's name. That finance company would be the primary lien holder, and Anderson County government would be the secondary lien holder. So that way, no matter what, any of the departments can't just go sell that truck or do what they want because you're listed as a lien holder on that. So that's how you get around that. But I'll let Mr. Bell step up here. I just wanted to make that point while I was thinking about it.
Yes, sir.
I guess one of the questions that I would have is what would be the build-out time of these trucks? Would they go out 2 at a time over 5 years, or?
Oh, no. Currently, there's basically 3 different ways you can buy a fire truck. Number one is to have the spec, build it from scratch up. That will currently run about 12 months. In Pierce's world, and we just did this, I don't know who you spoke to, whether Dyer County or whatever, but
Dyer.
Okay, was it Dyer? City of Jackson just did a different route. They had probably 3 trucks. They did a build to order that are taking 12 months, but they also purchased what's called stock trucks. Pierce is a very large company, if you're not aware of it. We're Oshkosh Defense. And so what they do is they pre-build a whole lot of trucks that are in lines of engineering already, so you can, quote, have the line already booked and that chassis already booked. And in those cases, if 3 months to 6, depends on what that buys. The way that I worked this was that price covers, just like she said, a pumper or a tanker, to cover every single thing that you could possibly need in that department. So in this case, I would say anywhere from 3 months to 12 months. And a lot of times, and I have a lot of cities that do this, just finish it with Sullivan County, they don't want it delivered till X amount of time because they don't want it, to check. City of Bristol just ordered some trucks and they don't want it till after January when they have taxes come in. So everybody's different. So I hope that answers your question.
And I know that when Medford ordered their truck, the things that they wanted extra, they had to pay for themselves. So how, in what you've got right here, how are these equipped?
These are equipped to meet everything a fire department needs. You could pull it off, put your equipment on it. It covers everything.
So I don't have the holes or any of that stuff?
No,
It's just-
it has some required loose equipment. NFPA requires ladders, stuff like that, axes and stuff. But as far as hose, no. So there'll be some loose equipment that department, which a lot of times, I don't know how you do it, but they just take it off the older truck and transfer it over.
Right.
But as far as the capabilities in the truck, we're not doing a cookie cutter, every truck the same, because my experience is, Rocky Top needs this.
But the engines and transmissions would all be the same?
Yes, sir. They're all gonna
Okay.
be,
Is that something we could get criteria on? So each fire department would know exactly what they're getting as far as the engines and
yes.
transmission?
And
'Cause
the
they
best
keep
way
them
to
up.
work this is, let's say if today you said, we're doing this, go do our thing. Immediately, and I mean immediately, I would go meet me or my team with every single department with what I call the spec. Okay, first of all, what do you want, a pumper or a tanker, or what is it? So they grab that spec. Well, every one of them's gonna have the same Cummins engine, same cab. So the base is gonna be the same chassis. And I actually chose a different chassis than I did in Dyer County for the simple fact is I live here.
We have mountains. West Tennessee does not. So I need a truck that's gonna have lower, more
Exactly.
torque, forget the horsepower. I need it to go up the mountain. So, I didn't do that in Dyer County, but I will do it here, because I live here and I need them to come to my house, so.
I guess that's one of the points I was trying to get across, is
Yeah.
because they're all set up different.
Yeah, and so in some of the cases, and also pick the L9 engine, because I know in some of these areas, I need them to have a little bit more torque. I also picked, like the tankers, which we've talked about for her department, single axle tankers, because of the turning radius in some of these areas that I've been in. There's been some driveways that if you turn a tanker on, it's gonna go down to the side. And I also, in our world, we can take a city map. We sell all the trucks to the city of Clinton, for example, and they purchased probably 3 years ago a single axle 110 aerial truck. I don't know if you all knew that or not. But what that did was it took their accessibility from around 64% to 84%. 84% ability to access with a 110-foot aerial in a city is
That's good.
fantastic. So those little things, and so that's kind of how I built this truck. And again, it helps kind of from being here and living here, knowing the terrain, the kind of how we need to work a little bit. But yes, they have all the same engine, same chassis. Now, if they want to upgrade, they want to build $1 million aerial, that's their choice. But, you know, the allotment, of course, from the county is set, this is it. But yeah, I would meet with each one of them, set up, you know, they agreed to it, they agreed to the specs, you know, whether it's one blanket PO from the county, which we've done at different cities, you know, check the money's due when that truck is delivered and been inspected. And also third-party inspection. Pierce is the only one that does that. We actually have Underwriter Laboratories and everybody do third-party inspections.
I got, just a question I have, just like being an engineer and being curious. The specifications for fire trucks, are they primarily federal, or is there federal, state things, or is it association-related things, or the?
Let's put it this way. We have 562 engineers in our building, so one reason is yes, you have a standard, NFPA standards, that the truck is going to meet. In my world, it's not as much prevalent in Tennessee, but you will have different city regulations for the builds, accessibility, wheelbases, gross vehicle weights, stuff like that. So it can change. That's why, I mean, literally every truck is custom built. And that's the main reason why. It's hard to have a cookie cutter, you know,
Yeah,
I can't go.
it meets the different locations. Yeah.
That meets the different location. What works in Dyer County is not gonna work here, because it's a 360 engine. I mean, I guess it would work if you wanted to, but it's not gonna work. Don't call, I'm not gonna give you my home phone number, let's put it that way. But yeah, it's very specific. Every truck, for example, if you ordered one today, and it's a full build time of 12 months, in 3 months from now, that department's gonna sit down with an engineer, me, and we're gonna go through every line item, every bolt, every nut, every screw on that truck, to make sure it's all exactly what they want and we all understand it. We make whatever changes, then before it even gets released to manufacturing and engineering. And then they'll have a weight review, electronic review, all of those reviews done, and it has to come back for the department to approve. But that's the process.
And part of that process is moving stuff from an older truck if it's being kept, is that?
No,
Or how does that work?
no, that's the department.
The department
The
handles it.
department does that. Now,
Okay.
we can if they want us to, when it comes, and we have a facility that's in Knoxville. Our manufacturing facilities are in Appleton, Wisconsin, Sarasota, Florida, and Clearwater, Florida, depending on what type of truck.
So your folks just take care of the fact that the truck's ready for something they're planning on doing?
Right. Yes.
Great, great.
Yeah, and it has the necessary equipment required by an FPA.
Yeah.
That will be delivered with that truck. And that's in the specs as well.
You passing this tonight?
I think it was on for a presentation, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jay,
If you want
was
to,
just
I
kind of
mean,
putting
yeah, we
this as a
can.
rough draft. I know, like Commissioner Wendell brought up the point about the USDA grants, and I know, I think Finance Committee had maybe discussed a partial cash, partial loan option a couple months ago, so if there's language as far as how to finance it, maybe, keep that part out. But I think Budget Committee kind of wanted, they would like to have at least the resolution saying what we want, which is the bulk purchase, so they can kind of move forward with how to fund it. But as far as I know, I believe we
Well,
could.
Section 4 on the ownership, to the chief's point, is wrong. If we're gonna go by her recommendation, it needs to be changed to the department.
Yeah.
Fire Commission had a few other changes, that I can even speak on if we want to pass this tonight. If not, that could be at a later time. I got with a few of the other chiefs and looked over the draft before I came in tonight, just so I could note, a couple of the changes that need to be made on our end, unless there were any other changes on your all's end as well.
We have time to massage this, but I think we have to get some momentum going so people are ready for things coming instead of it being a surprise to anybody.
Well, one of the big issues is that Mr. Finance Chairman over there now,
Yeah,
is how,
Oh, it's me?
yeah, it's you, it's your turn.
yeah.
And the mayor's how, if we do this, is how we're gonna finance it.
I agree.
Yep.
Resolution or no resolution.
I will make, I'm sorry, I
Go
was
ahead,
gonna
Brother.
make one other note, and it had to do with the extension, and I'm just bringing it up because I got an email while I was sitting here. I have to have, they have given me an extension to January 14th to have a confirmed either purchase order or a letter of intent, or however the county does it against Sourcewell.
Now, what's the date of the commission meeting? It's after that. Yeah, it's after that. So for us, it's our December meeting, we'd have to make a final decision.
But anyway, it's January 14th is what I've given. Already just resubmitted it back up through to my higher-ups and can maybe get it to the end of January. But that would be the absolute end. They're not extending it.
Did you extend it 4 days to the 18th?
I can get it to the 18th.
That's
Is that our
I'll put some
meeting
jam
is
on the
18th?
bread and lie, say FedEx lost it or something. I
January
can,
18th is the commission.
I can get that as
The
long.
third Monday of the month is when we have our full commission meeting.
What they're worried about, and I don't know if I should say it this way, but I'm gonna just be bluntly honest. Oshkosh is a huge corporation. The paperwork flow through to get in and done by the end of the month. Now, I can give you till the 18th, because what I have to do and flip is I've got so many, which I could go ahead and start doing if we think it's going to pass and start meeting with each department. So I have some function of saying to Oshkosh, we're gonna get 3 pumpers, 2 tankers, da-da-da-da-da. And so I can go ahead and start that to where, once it's said yes, then bam, then I've got all the paperwork I have to do, because it's quite a bit.
How does this work with purchasing?
No, I would be surprised if we don't end up doing,
Well, we had a
Just
person
doing
meeting
this
and
first
discussed
one.
this.
I'm just one of 16 commissioners.
I understand.
Mr. Bell, could you speak to them about Sourcewell and how that works versus bidding, just so they have an idea of that? Because I know that was a question on how purchasing was gonna.
Well, we had the meeting today in purchasing, and Catherine talked about it, and there's still a lot of things that have to be worked out with purchasing before they can
Yeah.
even send it out. And I'm not so sure that we could just, what we have to do, if I understand this correctly, is we gotta send it out for bids. We can't just decide on one company.
Well, the way it works, the way City of Knoxville does it, City of Clinton, everybody else, Sourcewell is your bid mechanism by Tennessee law. So you literally, and I've already got the approved Sourcewell paperwork for Anderson County. You all are already a member. I've got your member numbers. The bidding has already been done.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go bid it, for example, you're getting a Sourcewell price. The price I'm
From the
giving you is
state.
Sourcewell price. If you bid it, you're gonna add about 10% to it. Plus, it's almost impossible to bid unless you're going to buy 10 of the exact same trucks,
Yeah.
10 of the exact same time, 10 of them, But Sourcewell, which, and again, I can share exactly every other, that is bidding, because the other manufacturers also have, I mean, the major manufacturers have already in here, and so it's already Sourcewell bidded out. And
Okay. Yeah, she had, several questions today that she would have, work out.
sure,
She needed that.
well, I'd be glad to
Yeah.
leave. I've got 2 copies, and this is the form Oshkosh fills out when somebody buys, and I can send it electronically, or I'd probably better if I gave you my card and just tell her to call me, and I can send her the complete Sourcewell folder.
Yeah, we can do that.
And, that way it covers everybody.
Mr. Wandell?
I just wanted to, Mr. Chairman, if I could hear from the mayor. I just wanted to hear her thoughts on this. I mean,
Well, I haven't seen what was distributed, so I'll reserve my comments on that. But I do think a bulk purchase makes sense. It's just what the final numbers look like, what's being proposed there in terms of funding. I also think, just for commission, the original fire truck resolution, my understanding was put forward in order for commission to accomplish your goals in providing some type of service for the citizens. And so if you're going to renew the fire truck resolution, I guess my 2 cents is, to your point, Commissioner Wandell, let's make sure if we're purchasing vehicles, let's make sure that there are strings attached to it that provide service to people in our community. So for instance, one of the core reasons why the county funded vehicles in the first place was to incentivize first responder backup with EMS. And so is that going to continue? Are we going to make sure that that is happening? Is it not going to happen? Then maybe we renegotiate what that fire truck resolution looks like. Maybe it doesn't look the same. Maybe there's some tweaks we make. I understand a lot of the departments are having staffing issues. And so, again, I think there's merit to it. That's why I did some ciphering on it myself and brought it just as a discussion point and idea. But as far as, where we go from here, there are still some major issues that need to be addressed with declining agency response. And I know Chief Lucas was at Intergovernmental. This could be something that we talked to him about. He provided me some reports about lack of response. And those are things that I'm not bringing that up to be critical. We need to partner with the agencies and what can we do to help that? Because at the end of the day, those are our citizens that need, when they dial 911, they need to know that somebody's going to answer. And so is there a way to, while we're redoing this resolution, to address that or to help or to fix it? Or does the funding need to look, is it just about a fire truck? I don't know. So those are the things I just want to throw into the mix here. Let's make sure if we're going to be spending $3 million or $3.6 million that we get a guarantee in there. And also, I did look at that draft. It does not have in there anything about paid fire service, and the commission took that out, basically said we're not going to fund any department that charges for, and we need to make sure, do we want to put that back in again? Because it's not in the particular draft that's in front of you unless I missed that. So, we need to make sure there's guarantees. We don't go back to 2012 or 13 when we all had the courthouse filled up here. So just a few things that I'm pointing out just off the top of my head.
very good things. Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, and what I'd like to do is make a motion to allow the mayor in her capacity to evaluate the fire truck resolution and this resolution
resolution as well. And then forward, so I'd make a motion to give her that ability. I know she does it anyway, and then make another motion to have this forwarded to, I guess, the Finance and Budget Committee with an endorsement from the operations that we think it's good. If everyone thinks it's good, I think it's good and makes sense financially. So I'll shut up, and maybe the mayor's got some comments after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a
We
motion.
have
I got a
motions.
Are you okay with that?
I'll second
Yeah.
that motion to add the chief's comments to the fire commission as well.
Okay, I'm good with it.
Okay, so we got a first and a second, now we'll have discussion.
I did have since I wasn't in intergovernmental, I did have a question of what the term was, a lack of response or lack of something you said, lack of,
Yes, there are times, and this is in the service industry. It's fire, it's EMS, it's volunteer agencies. There is a shortage of manpower. So, when we were looking last year at budget time, we were looking at, for instance, Roane County does some part-time personnel that they fund, at intergovernmental, the city manager, Scott Hackler, mentioned that they wanted to take maybe some funding and pay a part-time person in their department because they are finding themselves responding when there is no one to respond. I did get with Chief Lucas, and he produced some reports for me. I haven't had a chance to go through all of those yet to see how pervasive is the problem. But we did raise this at an issue, when we were talking with fire agencies, what could we do? Are there things that we could, are there ways the county could help? It's a growing problem.
okay, I just didn't know that term, so I appreciate that.
Yes.
One of the things, I sit on the Medford Volunteer Fire Department Board, but we'll have 39 CIS calls or EMS calls to 3 fires or something like that, brush fire or something like that. And I think that's what all of our departments, our rural departments are, is they're, the first responders. So how are we addressing that in this resolution, I think is one of the questions you have.
And it might be something, we could bring Nathan in. It might be something that we take that out and maybe we look at, well, maybe there's another solution for EMS instead of depending on the volunteer agencies for an EMS assist. Maybe we need to work the solution there. I'm happy to have some of those conversations and see if he has some ideas.
That was a big discussion that we had over in Rosedale about when we was trying to get, a facility over there closer, but most of the calls are EMS calls, and then you get to the point where you don't have communication over there, and this is, where we need broadband, and,
Yep.
there's several issues, for our rural communities.
Yeah, something I think is important to note at this point is that Anderson County is dramatically dependent upon volunteers for first responders. And I work working with the State Guard for 8.5 years, and that's an all volunteer force, nobody gets paid. If you feel like you're being well-equipped and supported, you feel proud of what you're doing. But as soon as the volunteers start to feel like they're not being respected and properly supported with the equipment that they really need, that's when you start having huge manpower problems. I believe if we don't move forward and make sure our guys have not the latest state-of-the-art, best thing you can dream up, but really good sound equipment that meets current standards and is reliable. If we can't do that, we're gonna get into a situation very quickly that we're gonna have a choice. No fire coverage in major portions of the county, okay? Or we fund a full-time county fire department, and we all know what that would cost. So I think we need, and we don't have a lot of time, because basically what they're saying is by the December meeting, we have to make a decision on going ahead with it.
I think that's the purpose of this,
Or not.
the motion that Commissioner Wandell, Commissioner Meredith has put together, so we can, get the mayor on board, get the finance committee, budget
Well,
committee.
she's always been on
everybody
board.
working forward.
She brought the idea up.
Well, that's
It's
true,
just,
yeah.
Yeah.
But time is of an essence And I don't think that the problem with volunteers is gonna go away if this isn't handled expeditiously. So I guess that's the best way to say it. Thank you.
Any other discussion before we vote?
So we folded both motions in for the mayor and the chiefs to work on it, look at the fire resolution, and then it'll also go to budget and finance with an endorsement from the operations that we're in support.
That's correct. Did you get that? Annette? Okay. All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thanks, Josh.
Let's see, any new business to come before the committee? We've already took up the old business.
Yep.
So without anything to come before this committee, we'll call it adjourned, and thank you very much for your time and everybody that participated.
Mr. Chair.